Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we sure enjoy our time together, or at least I do. And I'll wait for a few folks. We'll always want to say hello, Kevin. Good morning. Brahim, Portland, Oregon. Rosalinda, Niagara Falls. And Jen from Cape Breton. We appreciate you guys very much. Nativity, good morning. And Francis Marie. And Andrea, Niagara Falls, good morning to you. Donna, how are you? And Mary. Sandra from Aurelia. John from Elgin, Illinois. Good morning, John. How are you? Nellie, how are you doing? Bill, good morning. Suzanne and Bonnie, much appreciated. Jeanette, how are ya? Family Day in Ontario at least. Jeanette from our staff, Valerie, and to my American friends, Georgie, good morning. Halifax, Nova Scotia, Janice, Brampton, Linda, Pennsylvania. You know how much we love Linda's. Cecilia, Judy, New Brunswick, Evelyn, good morning. Our American friends, it's President's Day. Catherine, Parksville, British Columbia. Deb from Timmins. Zian and Jean, dear friends. Nick from our staff. Carolyn, good morning. Sylvie, good morning. Wanda, Virginia. And another Linda, good morning. Paul, how are you? Couple more. Debbie, Sturgeon Falls, and it is lovely there. Vera, Judy, and Wendy from London. Annette, good morning. Jeanette, good morning. Melanie, Sudbury. Never heard of it. Where is that? Rosa, Sharon, Alpine, Wyoming. I bet you it's beautiful there. And Brenda, Diane, Ottawa. Diane from Thunder Bay. Barbara, Nova Scotia. Claudette, bonjour. Dorothy, Newfoundland. Love Newfoundland. Adeline, good morning, everyone. Barbara, oh, I want to sing. Zian Earlton, beautiful. Lynn Cochran, Rosa Linda, and Wendy from Markham. Sue, good morning, Rita. Okay, let's get going. One more. Sonia, I was waiting on you. Beamsville, and Moncton. Okay, now, remember, what is it, a couple of months ago that Christy Alley died? Remember that? Movie star. And colon cancer is what she had. A lot of people, it's one of the big killers today. But new research has come out on it that suggests, contrary to medical textbooks that I have in the 1970s, late 60s, 70s, colon cancer is two things according to the old textbooks. One, it's age. Colon cancer is cancer usually of older people. I'm talking about what they used to say, okay? So that's not true anymore at all. Two, it's genetics. It's you're much more susceptible. I remember talking to a pathologist, or was it a surgeon, said, I'm quoting him, anyone in your family has colon cancer, you better be checked all the time. And every couple of years, no doing a colonoscopy. Now, guys, I'm not talking about doing a colonoscopy or not doing a colonoscopy. I'm not going to even talk about that so much today as, you know what they found out about colon cancer? They're wrong. They were wrong, and they admit it. Look, research, okay? Research is now saying it's not age, and it's not genes. It's not age, and it's not genes. It's lifestyle. Wow. It's lifestyle. So, here we are, in 2023, and they're getting it right. They looked at, study after study in a multitude of studies, overview of all these studies, and said, you know what, it's not age. And it's not even genetics. I mean, I'm not saying that genetics, for example, doesn't have, what we say at the Martin Clinic, genetics sort of load the gun, but that doesn't pull the trigger. Okay? Might load the gun, but it doesn't pull the trigger. And so genetics, I never dismiss genetics, but at the end of the day, we're finding out more and more and more and more that what you do, okay? What you do, what you eat, how you move, and that kind of thing has a lot more to do with your health than anything else, okay? Than your age and your genetics, okay? I'm not dismissing them, but this study has put them into perspective. So, let's talk about that. Gut inflammation, okay? There's three things I want to talk about what causes colon cancer, okay? According to these studies. Fascinating. Gut inflammation, okay? C. difficile, okay? And we'll talk about that. And vitamin D levels. What? Colon cancer? Vitamin D levels? Yep. According to the research, most recent, those three factors are the biggest factors in colon cancer. Now let's talk about colon cancer generally, and let me say this. Colon cancer is on the rise. 2, colon cancer is affecting young people like nobody's business. It's really becoming a cancer of younger people. And the question is, why? Why is that happening? Why is it, one, more prevalent today than ever? Colon cancer is on the rise. Colorectal cancer is a huge cancer today. The number one killer in all cancers still is lung cancer. Killer. Okay? And yet people are not smoking like they used to. And yet lung cancer is still a major cancer. Now, let's talk about gut inflammation. Okay? Let's talk about gut inflammation. We'll talk about all three. C. difficile, number 2, and low vitamin D, number 3. Let's talk about gut inflammation. How do you get gut inflammation? Okay? Remember, inflammation is not Houdini. There's always a cause of inflammation. And medicine is really starting to look at inflammation like they never have in the past. They're starting to say, yeah, Dave, we're seeing inflammation is involved in all these chronic diseases. Heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, inflammation of the brain, diabetes, but inflammation doesn't come first, folks. Okay? Just understand that. Inflammation doesn't come first. Inflammation is caused by, okay, three main things. High circulating insulin. When your cells resist insulin, because we insist on living on carbohydrates, we've been duped. Fat makes you fat. Fat's no good for you. Eat the carbs, the carbs, the carbs, and fiber, fiber, fiber. And look, I'm not saying you shouldn't eat any fiber. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that we're carboholics in our society today, unlike ever before. We too consume, young people are consuming 100 times more sugar than people were consuming, between 50 and 100 years ago. 100 times more sugar. What does that do? It creates an inflammatory response in the body. You don't necessarily feel it. Inflammation, yeah, well, if you get a cold and you've got a headache, your sinuses are hurting, that's inflammation because of a virus. You have an injury. You fall, you hurt yourself. You have inflammation due to trauma. Not even talking about that inflammation. I'm talking about the silent type. At the clinic, we used to call it the fog of war. Your cells can't even communicate properly with each other. It's one of the reasons up in the brain, the neurotransmitters, when there's inflammation involved, they don't communicate properly with each other. Inflammation, your body's response to insulin, body's response to too much carbohydrates and sugars. Too much insulin? Inflammation. And these studies are saying, wow, inflammation is a big factor, because inflammation left unchecked, it starts to damage the microbiome within the gut. They're finally acknowledging there's a war going on in the gut between the good guys and the bad guys. Medicine is finally talking about the microbiome. It's really important. My biggest thing, okay, and this has to do with the second one, C. difficile. C. difficile, guys, by the way, where's the most dangerous place in the world? Afghanistan? Ukraine? We don't see any, let's go to the Ukraine these days, right? Like for travel. Okay? Why? There's a war going on there. But it's not the most dangerous place to live or to be. You know where the most dangerous place is? Yeah, Rosalinda, Lise, you got it. And Anna, you got it. And Baldo, you got it. And Wanda, you guys are the smartest audience, I'm telling you. And Chantal, you have it too. And Sue, you guys know the worst place in the universe. Diane, Helena, my audience, I'm telling you, Carol, Martha. What? The hospital. Margaret, Frida, you guys are very intelligent. Bonnie, Leanne, the hospital. You go to the hospital, Adeline. And am I telling people not to go to the hospital? Of course I'm not telling you that. IT and Manette, yeah, you guys are smart. You don't, at the hospital, you have an outbreak almost, first of all, if you're in the hospital, your immune system is down. True or false? Yeah. Okay? C. difficile. But C. difficile is the reason it's so dangerous in the hospital is because you're compromised. Okay? Because guys, believe it or not, you got C. difficile. Okay? 99% of us have C. difficile. It's part of your body, but you have an immune system. Okay? Really important to understand this. That's why I connect inflammation with the C. difficile. Because C. difficile just doesn't show up in the hospital. It's when people go into the hospital and their immune system is not working properly. And guess what? They often get an infection that can kill you. C. difficile. And they call it difficile. That's a French word for difficult. It's tough to treat because C. difficile has coating after coating after coating after coating on it, resistant to antibiotics. It actually comes, one of the biggest factors is the overuse of antibiotics. We're going to get to that in a minute. Okay? So, inflammation from insulin, mainly. You can get inflammation from infection. And one of the Trojan horses that I like to talk about, that you hear on this program all the time. What happens inside that gut when you have what we call dysbiosis, okay? Leave it to medicine to give us a big word. Dysbiosis. What does that mean? Dysbiosis means you got more bad bacteria than good bacteria. That's what it means. You got more bad guys than good guys. And then you get the Trojan horse that comes into your system. The Trojan horse. What is it called? Fungus, yeast, candida. It's a fungal infection that can take over your gut. It can take over a lot of things. It can get in your sinuses. It can get in your brain. It can get in your lungs. But I believe, this is me, when people get really sick in the hospital and they have an infection, it's usually fungal. It's usually fungal. When it becomes sepsis, in my opinion, it's fungal. It travels through the blood, the Trojan horse. What causes a fungal infection in the gut? And if it proliferates, you have dysbiosis, you are all in trouble. People are in trouble because, to me, that's what causes tumors to grow in the intestine. Fungal. And then once you have a tumor, we talked about this many, many, many times. What does a tumor feed on? What do cancer cells? What is their primary source of fuel? Sugar. Honey? Not honey, honey. I was calling you honey. It's sugar, honey. Okay? It's sugar. Yep. You guys all know that. You're smart. It taking medicine 50, 60 years to start changing the medical textbooks, if they do, to say that colorectal cancer or colon cancer is not age. It's not age related. It's not genetic related. Primarily, it's food. Primarily. Insulin, inflammation. Okay? Again, C. difficile. Yeah, starts to get proliferate, and it can start an infection, but I always blame yeast more than C. difficile. I think I'm right. And by the way, folks, I can tell you this. We would have very little side effect of C. difficile if we didn't have the overuse. And I'm saying the overuse of antibiotics, okay? Now, before I get into what causes this microbiome to change, how do you get more bad guys than good guys? You know, we talked about antibiotics. But let me just get to the third point that even the research is showing. Guys, this should be one of the most significant findings in medicine. I venture to say you're not going to hear about this. In that study, they said, yep, inflammation, C. difficile, and low levels of vitamin D. Holy moly. Low levels of vitamin D? I thought vitamin D was only for bones. But you guys know better than that. Vitamin D is essential. It's essential for your immune system to work against any cancer. You know, people almost every day, somebody asks me, hey, my aunt, my daughter, this, that, somebody's got cancer in my family. And somehow they get to me with an email or whatever, to my staff and whatever, okay? I'm not in practice anymore, but they ask me, Doc, what would I do? What should I do? What should I tell them? I said, well, first of all, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. But at least, cut out sugar. Tell them to cut out sugar. Cancer needs to be fed, so cut out sugar. And then get their immune system going by upping their vitamin D levels. Guys, the research is so clear. It's so incredible. It is unreal, the research. There's no question about it. And they're saying if you can get your vitamin D levels up, you got a real good chance to stop colorectal cancer, colon cancer. Hello? It's unreal. To me, it's malpractice when this doesn't get out in the mainstream media and whatever. Vitamin D does a lot of things. We know that your T cells, remember your Navy SEALs of your immune system, your lymphatics, They release T cells, and T cells, they have an antenna, and what charges, they're a Tesla. And they need the sun. They need the sun for vitamin D. They're your Navy SEALs. They go out and fight bacteria, viruses, C. difficile. They'll fight anything that doesn't belong inside of you, including cancer. But I'm not supposed to say that, really. They don't like it. There's a war on vitamin D. It's craziness, guys. Anyways, you know better than that. And what else does vitamin D do? Lowers all markers of inflammation. Did you know that? When you let that Viderma hit your skin, you're boosting your immune system. Yep. You're charging your T cells. Yep. But you're lowering inflammation. The silent type. Vitamin D is a tremendous anti-inflammatory. It's, should have won the Nobel Prize in medicine. It should have. It would have. It would have. In the last 2 years, vitamin D should have won a Nobel Prize. But don't hold your breath. Anyways. Okay? 3 factors, according to research. Inflammation. Okay? C. difficile. And low levels of vitamin D. Absolutely incredible. Now, what else affects the microbiome? Because this is very important. Well, obviously, number one, diet. Affects your microbiome. You feed the bad guys. You feed yeast. You feed that Trojan horse. And it will grow. And it will spread. Yep, it will. And so that's why I always start with food. Always food. Make better choices. Do the reset. Cancer hates steak. It hates it. It hates eggs too. Cancer don't like eggs. It hates eggs. Cancer doesn't like cheese. It hates cheese. Okay? It's not being fed. Two, antibiotics. We talk about it all the time. They can save your life. They're wonderful. They're life-saving. I'm not against antibiotics. I am not against antibiotics. I'm not. If you say Dr. Martin doesn't like antibiotics, you're telling people a lie. But here's what I am telling you. They're overused. And the number one reason that we have all these problems, food and overuse of antibiotics. They create a dysbiosis, and they create the fertile soil for the Trojan horse yeast to come into your body big time. Okay? Big time. And remember what yeast does. People forget this because they don't understand it. Yeast will carry heavy metals through your bloodstream. They'll carry mercury, lead, cadmium, aluminum. Those things need carriers, guys, and yeast will be happy to hitch their wagon to that kind of stuff and other toxins. Yeast, a little wee bit in your gut, who cares? It actually doesn't even hurt your digestive tract if it's held at bay. But any autoimmune disease has leaky gut and a fungal infection. You heard it first at the Martin Clinic, okay? You heard it first. Because if anybody has any autoimmune, I always tell them start at the gut, because you got a yeast infection. You have leaky gut. You have a fungal infection. You might not think you do, but you do. You do. Okay? Antibiotics. Okay? What else? Okay? And I'm just giving you a list. Any xenoestrogen. We live in a world of plastic. We live in a world of air fresheners. We live in a world, if you think you can get away from it, and you know my expression, from Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world, to the placenta in mommy, have PCBs and have all this garbage. Chemicals can be wonderful, but oh, can they cause leaky gut and disrupt your microbiome? And never mind what they do hormonally. Too much estrogen, and estrogen is a growth hormone. It makes things grow. And anything that you can't pronounce, my friend, is a xenoestrogen. Your body thinks it's estrogen. And it can be very disruptive to your gut. Now, you can't get away from it completely, and this is why I don't care, guys. I don't care. If people don't like what I say, I don't. If you're not taking a probiotic, I feel sorry for you. Doc, you just, I don't need any supplement. Yeah, I don't know. We live in a different world today. I'm sorry. It's preventative, man. You gotta take friendly bacteria. You gotta rebuild the good army. You got a family, friend or somebody in the family with cancer. Tell them vitamin D, cut out the sugar, and you better take probiotics. I had an oncologist tell one of my former patients, you're taking cancer treatment. You don't want to be on probiotics. That could interfere. Ooh, I just about had I had a migraine and I just about passed out. I said, I can't believe it. Are they not reading? Do they not read anything? Ooh. I get so uptight. Okay, artificial sweeteners. They can affect your microbiome, guys. Okay? And you know what I do on the reset, right? You know what I tell you on the reset. What do? 1, drink water. 2, drink coffee. Water and coffee. Okay, I allow you to have some tea. You teetotalers. Coffee's good for you. Okay? But lay off the artificial sweeteners. And then we live in, microparticles in the air. They're everywhere. The air pollution and here's another one. Okay, let me finish with this. Chronic stress. Cortisol. What an influence that has on the microbiome. Think about it. Boy, that has a big effect on your gut. And that's all right if I scare you, but not if it continues to go on and on and on and on. Here's a 6th one. other meds. People take meds every day, and I'm not telling you not to. But boy, does that affect your mind. I can't think of a medication that doesn't affect your microbiome. The worst are antibiotics. But non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, people that live on Tylenol and aspirin and Advil and different meds, I'm telling you, it disrupts the microbiome. Interesting, eh? Okay. Guys, love you. Big time. And boy, you're smart. You're smart. I love that. Okay. We got a great week coming. Talk to you soon.